That is the sound of below-the-waist grooming at its finest. And just when you thought they couldn't get any better, Manscaped have gone and created the Performance Package 5.0 Ultra, featuring the Lawnmower 5.0. We're talking about a next-generation trimmer with interchangeable blade heads for whatever shape your mind can imagine. They've also asked me to say what I think about it, and look, I'm going to be honest with you. At first, I was like, meh, but now I realise this is probably better than anything NASA have ever made. I mean, the moon landing was fake, so at least this actually works. It doesn't get any better. Manscaped really is the finest in its field. And the Performance Package also comes with the Weed Whacker, which has skin-safe technology to prevent nicks and snags, the Crop Soother and Crop Preserver, and they also chuck in the boxers, the travel bag, so you're going to step your grooming game up to the next level. So update your grooming game at manscaped.com for 20% off when you use the code TRUE at checkout. Oh, and there's free shipping. You're welcome. Welcome back to the Pain Game YouTube channel, and apparently my recent video on Tyson Fury got a lot of views. I have been informed I could not in fact beat the heavyweight champion of the world in a boxing match. Imagine my shock. You've dropped that bombshell on us, how will I recover? Please stop messaging me, Tyson Fury fans, if you could. I am well aware of that. It was a bit of fun. I'm gonna have to start putting like an IQ test on these videos before you lot are allowed to watch it, because I can't be held responsible for how dumb some of you guys are. It's not my fault you're so stupid. Stop lashing out at me. As bad as Tyson Fury looked, and as funny as it was to see him get chinned by a guy who's never had a boxing match before, I'm pretty aware that Francis Ngannou is a kind of special guy. Cool. Got that sorted out. Oh, but you landed 10 more jabs. He still won. Oh, that make you sleep at night, does it? Go and watch the highlights and watch Francis be 90% of those. And then after the fight, Fury's black and blue. Francis looks like he's just woke up, fresh from a nap. Now, today we're going to talk about the legacy of Tyson Fury, or what's left of it. No, I will be safe. Because he has to find a way to rebuild this now, because it's like a porn star's arsehole, isn't it? It's in tatters. He really has to pick up the pieces, because he's been exposed quite badly here. And if he ever wants to be able to walk around claiming to be the greatest man ever born, and all of that bollocks, he's got a lot of work to do. Tyson has 3 big wins in his career. 1 against Klitschko, and 2 against Deontay Wilder. Obviously, the first fight against Wilder was a draw. And if you want to go down as the greatest boxer in a generation, you're going to have to do a whole lot more than that at the end of the day. But who are you to say that, Geordie? You're just a nobody. You're damn right I am. I'm just a boxing fan like any of yous. And when a boxer claims to be the greatest of all time, take Muhammad Ali for example, well, if he hasn't proven it, then no one's going to call him it. The reason why the whole world agreed with him is because he'd went and done it. And when Tyson Fury claims to be the greatest of his generation and of all time, we the people are going to look at the standards set by Lennox Lewis, Muhammad Ali and the other greats out there and say, does that line up? Well, let's find out. When you look at Lennox's reign, Frank Bruno, Mercer, Briggs, Holyfield, Ratman, Mike Tyson, Klitschko. It was everyone he needed to beat in order to prove he was the best of that generation. He suffered a defeat against Ratman, rematched him immediately, and smoked him. So when he did have his setbacks, he put them right. That's the standard. Everyone in your era needs to be cleaned out. And Muhammad Ali did the same thing for basically 2 decades. If you want to put yourself up there with them, then you have to show respect to them, and by recreating what they did. Otherwise, don't even speak about being the greatest. And the idea of either of those two going in against the debut boxer and getting beaten up like that, just unfathomable. And then if we look into his best wins, take Klitschko for example. You went in there and you outthought him, you outpointed him, but you didn't beat the hell out of him. You didn't really put a stamp on that to show like, I've destroyed the king and now I'm the king. You were slippery and you got out there with the belt, and look, it was a clever performance. I'm not trying to take anything away from that, but if I was to say whose win over Klitschko is the more impressive, Anthony Joshua without a shadow of a doubt for me. And that isn't bias or anything like that. Think about it. Anthony Joshua went in there and went fire with fire against a power puncher like Klitschko and came out on top and stopped him, destroyed him. Much more emphatic, much more thrilling. And that's why, truth be told, Fury didn't get the red carpet treatment the way AJ did, or one of the reasons. AJ's win was so much more monumental. in terms of legacy. And then he didn't even get back in there for the rematch with Klitschko. Klitschko was a great champion and deserved that rematch. It's unheard of to not be given one. And Fury had played his hand there. Klitschko in the next fight would have known the slipperiness and what to expect and how better to prepare for it. So it wouldn't have been quite as easy for him the next time out. Fury then went on the path of self-destruction. And to not get back in there and give a champion like Klitschko his rematch, it's unheard of. If you're wanting to talk about being great, that is not a great thing. And look, mental health, I get it. When mental health kicks in, it's just not good enough if you're going to class yourself as one of the greats to then not even give the guy you took it from in that fashion when you robbed it off him like that, to give him a fair rematch. Can't believe it. Then we've got the Deontay Wilder fight. And just to show I'm not just being biased here, I give Fury a lot of credit for taking the Wilder fight when he did. He was clearly not at 100%, coming back from putting his body through hell. The way he got back up after outboxing Wilder for the majority of the fight, from that atom bomb that detonated on his chin, I'm always going to give him credit for that. That was an inspirational moment in the world of sport. And at that point, I couldn't have been more proud of him, more happy for him. And then he goes straight ahead and puts him on the back foot, works his way into how to beat Wilder. And then the second fight, we got the best version of Tyson Fury ever. We got the combination of a bit more power, bit more weight, but still mobile, still agile and quick to deliver those punches. And at that point, the world had gone from what was once a bunch of Fury haters because of things he'd said in the past, which I'm not going to go into, to now everyone was like, all right, this is the guy now. This is the champion, and what a performance. And it was the first time Tyson Fury wasn't the ugly duckling of boxing, because AJ was obviously the wonder boy, and Fury began getting everyone kissing his ass. And for me, this was one of the worst things that could probably have happened to Fury, because the chip on his shoulder had gone. He was now this arrogant, rich money man out of nowhere, and everyone was kissing his ass. And in that third fight, we seen the version of Tyson Fury that we seen in the Dillian Whyte fight, in the Derek Chisora fight, and now the Francis Ngannou fight. Because this narrative, and Fury's very clever with narratives, that everyone else is spinning right now of, oh, he was a shadow of himself. He wasn't. It was the same Fury we've seen for the last 4 fucking fights. The difference is, he was in there with a live dog. Go back and watch Dillian Whyte and Derek Chisora fights. Those guys, with all due respect, did not belong in there at that level. Deontay Wilder gave him hell in that third fight. He really struggled to get that over the line. He wasn't in great shape. He was slower than usual. His punches weren't as accurate. It's all the same things that we've seen in the Francis Ngannou fight. We've seen them throughout the last 4 fights. And the really clever thing Fury did while he had everyone in the palm of his hand and all of his fans were sucking him off was he used the narrative to control why he was the best and that why he didn't have to fight certain guys. Oh, I don't need to fight AJ. Andy Ruiz has beaten him. He's a bodybuilder anyway. Andy Ruiz beat him. You didn't beat him. You can't take credit for other people's wins. But he did. Oh, well, we know what would happen anyway, so we don't need to see that fight, his fans would say. Brainwashed. Oh, I don't need to fight Usyk. He's just a pumped up middleweight. Brainwashed. These two guys are as threatening as anyone in heavyweight boxing to Tyson Fury. And he used his words and not his fists to defeat them. And we've seen it from Francis Ngannou, when there's a live dog in front of him who can move and can deliver power punches, that he's in a lot of trouble. Deontay Wilder is one of the most limited boxers in terms of actual skills in the heavyweight division, but he's just got the power, and even he gave Tyson Fury hell. So I hope a lot of people, despite some of the messages I've been getting in my DMs, are actually waking up to the fact that this man cannot even have any claim to be the greatest of a generation until he actually does the fucking job of one. Because as much as everyone wants to act like all of a sudden he's over the hill and that's what they'll say if he eventually loses, this is Tyson Fury, the level he's been at for the last 4 fights. And I doubt he will, I've got to be honest, because the reality is, you went in there with a guy who's never had a boxing match before and you got dropped and beaten up. Even if the narrative was true, even on Tyson Fury's worst day, that should never happen. He's younger than Francis Ngannou. He's been doing this his whole life. So all the excuse makers who can't bear the fact that Superman has lost his superpowers, just accept reality, man. He's not as good as we thought he was. And he's been exposed by trying to take the easy way out, using narrative. I don't need to fight this guy, I don't need to do that, until someone like Saudi Arabia paid him so much money that he couldn't refuse the Usyk fight, and he's been exposed before that fight's even taken place. If he wants to prove me wrong, he has what he needs to do, because as much as people think I'm a Tyson Fury hater and all that bollocks, honestly, I just think this is a bit of a laugh. First thing you need to do is rematch Francis Ngannou, because you can't call yourself the best at anything if a guy beats you up on your first try. Impossible. This fight will haunt him for the rest of his life. I'm not even just saying his career, man. This man will be 50, 60 years old and they'll be bringing this up with him. And not only does he need to rematch Francis Ngannou, he needs to absolutely annihilate him in that rematch to prove that it was a fluke. Just beating him by points, that ain't going to cut it. You have to destroy him. And I quite honestly don't think that's possible. I think that Francis Ngannou, with experience in a boxing ring, understanding of range, understanding of Fury's power, and knowing how easily he took those shots, I think Francis is going to be even more dangerous second time out. And I think he'll probably kill him. But if you want to prove us wrong and you want to be the best, that's got to happen. And any Fury fan who makes any excuses for him not rematching Francis Ngannou after being embarrassed publicly like that, you are a fanboy who can't even pull your fucking head out of your own arse. They made a movie about this. It's called Rocky. When Rocky took Apollo to the decision at the end of the first fight, Apollo Creed says in the second movie, I have to rematch him. I might have won, but I didn't beat him. Well, let's see if Tyson Fury, the real boxer, the real greatest, has got the balls to say what fucking Apollo Creed did. Because even he knew what was right. You've got to fight AJ. I mean, that is just an absolute must at this point, because now we look at the style AJ has, and after seeing how much Francis gave him problems with the size, speed, and strength, you look at AJ and you think, well, he's not quite as big and strong as Francis, but he's not far off, and he's certainly a lot more technical. That could be a nightmare opponent for Tyson Fury now. I'm not saying I think it's a guaranteed win for AJ or Fury, but now the questions are there. And before, Fury was so in control of the narrative, the people, me included at times, just believed, yeah, actually. Because AJ struggled at times too. But that's what happens in heavyweight boxing, when you're actually taking on the best fight. And AJ religiously did that. Many people would have told him, don't fucking take the Usyk fight. Give that belt up. Go and fight Fury. He wanted to be known as the best of his generation. And that's the difference between a true champion and Tyson Fury, who's trying to avoid fights like that, unless you pay him enough money that he can't say no. And obviously, he has to fight Alexander Usyk twice. And luckily, Saudi Arabia seem to be setting that up, despite them now pushing it into the new year because Big Fury got beaten up. He's got to fight me, 23rd of December, he'll get a lawsuit. And the minute he gets punched all over, I'll see you in the new year, have a lovely Christmas. Imagine that. Big Frano just punched him into New Year. When you look at how sluggish Fury's feet have been for Wilder 3, Chisora, White, and now Ngannou, you imagine the work rate of Usyk. If Fury beats Usyk, I'll be stunned. And a lot of people think he's the bigger man, he's going to lean on him. Good luck getting close enough to lean on him, because the guy doesn't stop moving. And then you're going to be looking at a one-punch knockout, which, given the sloppiness of Fury's punches in the last 4 fights, I wouldn't expect. Yes, you hit the uppercut on Dillian White. Look nice, good shot. Dillian White is stagnant. Usyk's head is like a fucking windscreen wiper. It doesn't stop moving, bro. That man's gonna clean sweep Fury to the fucking cleaners. And if he should happen to get through those, I think he'd have a hell of a claim for best of his generation. But I honestly don't think that'll happen. And if he does, there's fighters like Zhang. I think Zhang beats Fury tomorrow. I think he bangs him out cold in about 5 rounds. Big time. And in order to do this, there's a few things he's going to need to do. For a start, get rid of those backslappers, that massive entourage he's got on the payroll. Time wasters. Yes, men. There's even an article come out about it this week. Former pro boxer Dominic Negus, who worked security for Fury versus Ngannou, has said John Fury is a melt. He thinks it's the fucking John Fury show. It's a joke. It's all about him. But he did talk about the entourage, and he said, Fury must have 20 or 30 people wiping his arse half the time who are there for the ride. So many hangers on. If you've constantly got people saying, great job, who aren't pushing you to be the best version of yourself, that's how we see Tyson Fury go from the version of him we've seen against Wilder on the second fight, where he was athletic and powerful, to the version of him after that, where all of the backslappers and all of the arse kissers came on board, and then he turned up just looking to hit the power shots, lean on people, and not having the movement that we used to know from Tyson Fury. He needs people pushing him to be the best him, and you don't get that when everyone's fucking kissing your arse. I think he's in a comfort zone as well. Like, he's in Morecambe, it's close to home, which obviously is great because he's got family there, but by all accounts, you know, he spars the same guys all the time, goes for fish and chips afterwards. His diet's probably not the best. I mean, look at the shape he's been in for the last 4 fights. He looks like shit. And everyone's calling me saying you can't call Fury out. I'm in better shape than this guy. Obviously, he's in boxing shape, and it is quite amazing that for the size of him, he can go for as many rounds as he can. But why not be the best you? Sort your diet out, train harder, get better sparring in. Maybe he needs to go to a different training camp somewhere else where he's outside of his comfort zone and all these people aren't around him all the time. But you haven't got long left of your career. I don't understand why he's going to spunk it up the wall in a comfort zone instead of finishing strong. Serious athletes put success before fame, and since Fury beat Wilder in that second fight, it's been all about the fucking Versace, driving these fast cars, he's on Netflix. Look at all the other top athletes in their field, in any sport, I don't care, and show me one who looks like Tyson Fury. And I know we all look at it and laugh, I'm a big fat man, and it is good banter because somehow we don't know how he does it, but you look at Francis Ngannou, I know they're genetically different and they're never going to be the same, but who do you think takes it more seriously, man? How do you think Francis was able to catch up that ground, aside from the fact he's a bad motherfucker, in such a short space of time? He's a serious man with a work ethic that is that of a poor man. No matter how much money he's earned, the grind is never stopping for him. So when he's got all of those, dudes in the background on the way to the ring barking like dogs, remember, when you've got no bite in that ring, there's no good them barking on the way to it, is it? Get rid of the backslappers, first and foremost. So that's my take on the Tyson Fury legacy. I think he's one of the better guys in this generation, yes, but he's a mile away from being able to tell anyone that he's definitively number one, and there's a lot to be done. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Really appreciate everyone supporting the Pain Game YouTube channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.